Hi, my name is Bradley Boyce, and I'm here to present my senior thesis for INTS 4350. The title of my thesis is Protecting Youth, Summer Camps, and the Harm of a Bully, which, as the title implies, is about summer camps and bullies. To introduce a little about myself, I work in the youth summer camp industry. I have for the last 7 years, and I have 7 years experience as a participant, as a child, in summer camps. So with this 14 years of experience, this is a very important topic to me. A lot of people, when I say this is my topic, they're like, okay, why is this so important? Well, it's still an important industry and it has a profound effect on children's life, which we'll get into later. So I just want to address that bullying is a growing problem for youths, and it's almost in every setting, and it is now creating problems in what was supposed to be a safe place for children. Bullying has spread in the last several years, especially with the increased access to internet. Cyberbullying, as it's called, is not much of a problem in summer camps due to their secluded nature, but there's still an increased amount of physical and verbal and relational bullying, which those will be explained soon. Summer camps are one of the most popular vacation options parents choose, whether that be for their children or if they can find one as a group, but this concerns youth camps alone. But the summer camp industry is a $15 billion industry with over 12,000 camps across the nation, which supports around 11 million children each year. This industry also provides 1.5 million jobs to adults, which includes counselors, staff, directors, cooks, and any other position that needs to be filled. Parents typically choose camps because they're designed to be a safe haven for children. It's a place where they can explore, discover, and foster their talents. In some cases, this is a child's only opportunity to separate and or reinvent themselves from their school or home persona, which could be a place that they may not feel secure or safe enough to do outside of this camp environment. They may not feel like they can be themselves, or they're a victim of abuse and this is their chance to be who they want to be. Camps have been proven to make a positive influence on the lives of those that participate. With an increased amount of bullying, the number of negative influences and experiences are increasing as well. The problem with bullying in camps is that no one is completely certain on the best way to approach it. While it is designed to be a fun learning environment for children, it's still a business staffed by adults. So basically, there are many parts to consider when addressing a significant problem, especially one like bullying. Despite all of the perspectives that could be applied to this problem, my thesis used human development and family studies, psychology, and recreational studies, which is fairly interdisciplinary in itself. Human development and family studies is very applicable to this problem, obviously because it studies human development and the family. It's a way for us to examine some of the factors that may predisposition a child to be a bully or be a victim. It also allows us to look at some of the factors that goes into their actions. It explains why they do the things they do, and it helps us find ways to make an influence in a more positive way on children's lives. This discipline falls a lot, especially in this paper, on Bronfenbrenner's ecological systems theory, which was very influential to this study, and it crossed several disciplines, especially the ones that I used in this paper, which flows into the next one, psychology. Psychology, like HDFS, allowed us to observe why people behave they do and potential ways to approach poor behavior as well as good behavior. Psychology allowed me to look at ways to develop punishment, rewards, and even educational methods to address this problem. Because identifying, addressing, and preventing future instances of bullying is the ultimate goal. And then lastly, recreational study is a great source of information concerning various types of camps and programs and ways other camps have addressed this problem and other significant problems, because even if the problem doesn't concern bullying, large-scale problems that are interdisciplinary in nature and hard to approach can learn something from those solutions. But to get back to the side of camp and the positive side of that, camps provide children with building blocks for success in their life then and as they grow and mature. Camps increase social, emotional, intellectual, moral, and physical maturity, and children need this opportunity to discover themselves and learn independence. This is their time to learn self-esteem and especially that independence, because for most children, a summer camp is the only time they're going to be away from their family, and a family is the biggest, most profound influence that influences their life. And that goes back to Bronfenbrenner's theory. They're the closest to that center in that systems theory. And as you go out, they become less influential, but they're still influential. And summer camps, especially overnight camps, are closer to that center like a family and can have profound impacts. But this is that opportunity for children to discover their talents and foster them and thrive and really explore who they are without that fear of peer pressure and bullying. As I mentioned, this kind of stuff is incredibly important for overnight camps, which spend most of the time with children and have the biggest influence on the youth. These types of camps create a family because they have their cabin mates and that staff that they spend a majority of their time with. This provides them a sense of belonging in the community and help them feel as though they contribute to some greater good to that community, which all relies on a camp's ability to offer traditions and customs. Specifically, the camp I work for runs on the Golden Rule, which, as we know, is treat others the way you want to be treated. So we really preach that. We preach, everybody is somebody, and that's really important for children to feel like they belong, and it instills a positive attitude in them to, challenge them to try and be better, that they have to earn the right to be there. It's not just money gets you there or, your parents got you there. You have to earn that spot. And I think that's a really big influence on how children behave in that kind of setting. And even bullies that come into that setting and are exposed to that positive nature can be influenced out of it because they're able to see that positive reinforcement is better than negative. And it's easier to make a friend than it is to have an enemy. The biggest part of how camps function and address these problems is their staff. They're an indispensable part of the entire experience and likely the most memorable and influential people that a child will encounter at a summer camp. Counselors have to be positive role models that are available to listen, talk, relax, and reflect with them. They're the ones that children look up to. They look up to that, college student, high school student, or older that is fun and that, is interested and cares. And that teaches them something and instills something in them that they take away with them. In camps in general, whether they're at day camps or overnight camps, they learn to work together and make choices, develop creative and problem-solving skills, communication skills. They learn more about responsibility and contributing. They build independence, self-reliance, self-esteem, and they gain confidence, which is really important now where the world is putting a lot of pressure on kids to be more and more. And they're feeling that stress, especially in school. So now on to more of the bad stuff and the sides of bullying. Bullying is an increasing problem across the nation, one that every child will witness, most likely. They will either witness, participate in, or be a victim of by the time they are 16 years old. It was found that over 80% of kids between the ages of 5 and 6 witness it and have been repeatedly a part of it. The three types of bullying, the three main types are physical, verbal, and relational. Physical is the easiest to detect for obvious reasons, while the other two are much more discreet, which due to cyberbullying and the ability to be more discreet, physical bullying is actually more on the decline and less popular, but it is still a problem. Next up is verbal bullying, which, as it implies, involves abuse due to language. That's name calling, yelling, teasing, etc. It's harder to detect than physical bullying, but it can be relatively easy to detect just because of its nature. You can tell when kids are making fun of people, but that's also difficult because each person is different. When someone is name calling, there's a very fine line between having fun and making fun. And that's where verbal bullying becomes a lot harder to detect, because when everyone's laughing and having a good time, it's hard to tell if that child's feelings are hurt or they feel victimized. So it's harder to detect than physical bullying, but it's easier to detect than the next one, which is relational bullying. And it is considered the most devastating and likely the most discreet form of bullying. This involves exclusion, gossip, humiliation, blackmail and manipulation, threats, peer pressure in general, and other forms of subtle abuse. But all of these forms of bullying go back to one topic, which is social capital. And the goal of a bully is to reduce or steal someone else's social capital. Children find social capital in every setting. That's why some children are bullies in some places, and other places they're the one being bullied. Social capital, if you want to look at it like a ladder, the bully tends to exist in the top 15, percent of their social group. And typically this is based on popularity and even socioeconomic status, while the bottom 15% are most likely to be victimized. And then that middle 70% is where a lot of the problems lie. They're the bystanders, the witnesses, and they don't intervene. They witness it, which some argue is bad and negatively impacts them due to a reduced amount of empathy. Children become numb and less empathetic towards violence. Therefore, they're unable to see much of a problem in it after they've been exposed to it enough. But only around 11% of the time, peers will intervene in a bullying situation, while adults only intervene about 4% of the time, which is incredibly low, and it can be a lot higher. Summer camps in particular, about 60% of bullying goes unreported at camps because the children don't trust that the staff is prepared enough to help them or resolve that problem that they're experiencing, which leads us to the reason why we have to address this problem. These trust issues, being the leading cause of bullying not being reported, means that camps aren't prepared, and they need to educate the staff especially, and even the campers, on how to identify, address, and report incidences of bullying. For the staff alone, they need to work to identify the bottom 15% within 48 hours of the children arriving. This is really important because it's easier to find someone that'll be a victim of bullying than it is to find someone that's going to do it, because it's hard to tell who's really discreet and who's not so subtle. So it's easier to keep an eye on those that are more likely to be a bully or to be bullied than it is to watch for those bullying. Along with that education, counselors, staff need to know that they need to be positive role models. They need to show kids how to behave and avoid any form of nepotism, favoritism, because bullies tend to pick up on those cues. Children are really good at reading social cues. They're able to tell when someone is playing favorites, or in the instances where they're bullying their peers, social cues that a victim gives off is what determines whether or not that person will be bullied very intermittently, or it's a one-time occurrence, or whether that instance is going to be repeated. Because they give off these social cues that determines whether they're an easy target or they're not worth the time, which the higher up in that social ladder, that 15%, if the social percentages are close by, it's more likely that the victim is going to be able to give off social cues that make that bully back off or leave them alone. Also, I apologize. Overall, it goes back to education. Um, People need to be educated, and it starts with the staff, the children, and even parents. Parents need to let their kids know that that behavior is not okay. And then from there, the staff can educate them on, what's right and what's wrong. And that goes into camps, traditions, and customs, and general rules that they try to present. The overall goal is to stop this exchange of social capital. We've learned how beneficial camps can be. It's scientifically proven that it's beneficial, and it's been scientifically proven that bullying is not beneficial. It increases chances of depression, anxiety, stress, and even most recently, suicide, especially in high school aged kids. So there has to be a way to monitor, which is impossible to monitor 100% of the time in a summer camp. But if they're educated, they're able to trust that kids can act correctly on their own. Which, if anybody that views this has attended a summer camp, sent a child to a summer camp, or worked for a summer camp, knows the profound effect that it can have on you, whether you work there or you're attending. So we, as adults, have to help youth know what is and isn't okay behavior and put a stop to it. Those low intervention numbers have to increase, because if people get involved and people intervene, they'll know that it's not okay. One of the last statistics I'll share is that 80 to 85% of people don't know that they're bullying, or they're not aware that it's a bad behavior, which goes back to a lack of empathy. Most people that are bullies don't have much of a comprehension of empathy. Therefore, people won't intervene because they feel that they'll be another victim. But 85% of those kids, when it's addressed, stop bullying. It goes away. So what this has learned between all of it is camps need to educate, and they need to work on providing that positive environment and working to uphold it, and continuing to address it and build that trust where kids know that it's okay to talk to someone and address it. It's a growing problem, and it'll continue to be a problem, especially with the increased access to internet, smartphones, tablets, computers, social media. It's easy to abuse people. But the problem is spreading into places that are supposed to be safe, especially for kids that need and crave that escape and that attention. So I want to thank everyone that viewed this. This doesn't cover all the details that were in the full thesis, but it covers a lot of information that shows that bullying is wrong, and it has an incredibly profound negative effect on children, while positive reinforcement and reward is much better and goes on to improve and allows children to lead a productive and more healthy life into adulthood. So I want to thank everybody again for listening, and I hope you learned something, or you gained an appreciation for what summer camps are able to do. They're not just a place to swim and kick a ball. And I hope that you take the opportunity someday to intervene and stand up against this growing problem. Thank you.